Hello and welcome to the Dream Team Tonic podcast. Today, myself and Ben are going to have a look at someone's first draft. We've got Fergi here from the Fantasy Football Hub to share with us his first Sun Dream Team draft. How are you doing, Fergi?
I'm really good. I love your theme tune. It's just the best out of all the podcasts. And so I can't help just booming along to it like this. I absolutely
Gets you
love it when I'm in
hyped.
the car. Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. Yeah, I'm really good. Thanks. Yeah. Enjoyed the Euros. Being Welsh, I probably wasn't as disappointed as you, Per, and most of your listeners and watchers on the final. But best team one, I think it's probably fair to say. But yeah, enjoy the Euros, enjoy the Olympics. But yeah, I was just obviously saying I had a really nice break, and I'd not been this excited for a new season for a long time. Absolutely buzzing. Sun is shining. Lots going on, and yeah, excited to get into it.
You prepped going into this new season after having a sort of test run of the new rules. It's stayed pretty similar now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think yeah, I'm definitely much more prepped than I was last year, and yeah, being able to spend a lot of time this time around, kind of looking through the players a bit more, the prices, trying to look at some bargains, looking at the fixtures, how they're going to fall, how future fixtures could potentially fall as well. So I definitely feel a lot more prepped than I was last year. And in terms of the rules, I really enjoyed them last year. I thought it was a really refreshing change to bring a game to the market which has had so many points available. I mean, it's so much fun being able to score 12, 16, 20 points instead of, FPL, you get your 2 or your 6 or whatever else, and it doesn't really differentiate or reward, really, does it? So, yeah, really enjoyed it, and it looks like the changes to the boosters and the scoring are positive as well, the vice captain. So, yeah, I think all the changes they've made are really positive, and yeah, excited for it.
Good stuff. Well, should we get straight into it? We'll let you push ahead, and then me and Ben will pick your brains on a few of your picks after. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to pick your brains, to be honest, because there's just so many options to go for. I think firstly, in terms of like strategy, I think I wouldn't say a fast start is important, but on the year I won it, I do remember this distinctly. I had 2 midweek hat tricks in the Carabao Cup match early on. I don't know if you guys remember. There was Havertz for Chelsea and Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, I
Both
was on
got hat
Calvert-Lewin.
tricks. I think Havertz scored against Barnsley, and Calvert-Lewin scored whoever he played. I mean, it might have been like West Ham or something, but
Did he score 2 hat tricks in 2 games?
He did.
Yeah.
He scored 2 in 2, and
yeah,
I just obviously got really fond memories of flying up the leaderboard really, really quickly. And obviously, it's much easier to stay there than it is to chase when there's so many good managers out there nowadays. We're all, everyone watching, listening to this, for example, is probably really engaged, or got similar-ish teams. They know how to play well. They know the bargains. So getting a fast start is pretty important. And I've always been a fixture volume man. So I think I'm probably, like, after listening to your last week's pods and stuff, I'm probably a bit more going to target the shorter term fixture, I think, with the Carabao Cup, rather than totally focus on getting my team ready in place for Champions Leagues and things. There's lots of transfers we can play with until the Champions League starts. I think some teams start later than others in Europe as well. It looks like Man United and Spurs in particular start a bit later than everyone else, so it's quite staggered. And Chelsea start much later again. So yeah, I think choosing some players from those teams who've got those extra fixtures, and they're really good teams as well. We're talking teams, like Newcastle and West Ham and all these as well. So I think strategy wise, they're going to be targeting them a lot. And the Carabao Cup third round. So I think you mentioned this, Ben, a week or 2 ago, and I just had a look, but it does look like we could get some Carabao Cup third round games for those who progress in the second round on the first week back after the international break. So there's the potential for some teams to have the same amount of fixtures as Champions League teams early doors as well. So I think with that in mind, that's why I'm not so heavy targeting the European teams. But yeah, I'll start my team. Forest keeper, I've got Sells at the moment for 2 million. I'm not overly keen on starting with a premium keeper. They don't really score lots of points. With the new points for the extra goals and assists and stuff, you can just see the front seven getting, far more points than the keeper. I don't know if it's on Sells. I'm not sure whether it's going to be Sells or Miguel, but Forest, had a really good defensive record last year. I think they finished with the 4th best XGC in the whole league, which I was quite surprised at.
I was reading it on Ffhub actually earlier.
Yeah, and their fixtures are really, really good.
16th overall for goals conceded.
So it's 4th best expected goals conceded.
Yeah,
but then they actually conceded.
They actually conceded. Yeah, exactly.
It was a big discrepancy.
Massive. Yeah. So they're kind of hard to watch, hard to play against. I think they're going to improve. So, and the fixtures are good as well. But I don't really want to spend more than 2 million if I have to. I can't see any cheaper starters yet. If one comes in at 1 million or 1.5, I'll just be all over him. Sam Johnson all over again, I think.
Yeah.
But just you only need one clean sheet in like 5 or 6 games to kind of justify that for where it pushes the money up. Been backing and forring on the back 4. I know I've sent you 2 drafts today. one had Pedro and Gvardiol in, who I do think are excellent picks. I was having a look at some of the stats earlier. They're kind of average points per game and things. But obviously, if you do go for even one of those, definitely both, it does mean you have to make a big sacrifice upfield. And I had Edouard up front for 2 million. I'll touch on more, when we get onto the forwards. But at the moment, I've got 3 million defenders, which I'm not sure is the right play really, because it's not very flexible. I'm not sure yet, but I do like these players. Munoz, really attacking right back. I think he's underpriced in all the formats, actually, FPL and Telegraph and that as well. So I think he's a really, really good pick. Livramento, obviously, assuming Trippier leaves, looks a steal. Is he 3 or 3.5?
3.
Livramento 3 as well. Yeah, I mean, if he goes, that's an absolute steal as well. And Robinson, he's more of a stats pick than anything else. Obviously, he did really well in the average points per game, but Fulham have got a good start to the season, fixtures-wise. And obviously, all those 3 and the keeper all have that extra Carabao match as well. So that's the back 3. A few others got my eye on, as I mentioned. I would love to have in Porro and Gvardiol, but they don't have the extra fixture, and they're obviously very expensive. So I think they could obviously do really well. They both look exciting picks. I'll probably have them both in FPL, I think. But where the points are different, in terms of where you're kind of rewarded for points or not. But the average points per game for Munoz and Robinson were really good last year. I think if Livramento, if he plays more, he'll do well as well. Michaelenko at 3 million, averaged 4.9 points last year. I think he's a good pick. I think he's just as good as these others. I think Everton are really tight at the back. Expect him to continue that. He's got attacking threat as well. Rico Henry at 2.5. Obviously, he had that massive injury, didn't he, at the start of last season? But he was like a bonus machine, wasn't he? Very attacking. I'm not sure if he's back, but if he is,
I think,
if he is back and available, I think he could be a really good differential at 2.5. Kwanzaa is another one. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with him, whether he's going to start or not. But if he does start, 3 million for a Liverpool defender is obviously incredible value. Well, I was just earlier interested asking you guys. I don't know. I just noticed Hinshelwood is a 2 million defender in this game, and it just caught me by surprise. His average is high. I'm sure he scored a couple of goals last year. I'm sure he's playing like right midfield, wasn't he? But yeah, I pulled it out earlier. I don't know if you guys can know any more.
No, I'm not sure if he's in the expected team to start or not again, because they're under a new manager, aren't they, as well? Yeah. We'll have to have a look at their pre-season lineups, but we might find some bargains. So it might be a case of waiting for the first week, I guess.
Yeah, if he gets in the team and he's playing as a really attacking right back or right wing, essentially, he could be a steal. Obviously, I don't think they haven't got. Where are they? No, they haven't got Europe, have they? But they'll obviously have the Carabao games. So that's defense. Nothing sort of massively exciting. I'd love to have Guardiola and Porro. I may end up with one. I'm not sure yet. Midfield, pretty standard picks, I think. I think Gordon, with his fixtures, with his form, he was just excellent last year. I think they've underpriced him at 4.5. I think he's going to be worth more than that. He's just superb player, assuming he starts right from the start, 'cause he didn't get many minutes in the Euros. Eze, similarly 4.5. I don't know. I don't think he's played much in preseason yet. Eze probably similar to Gordon. But again, he didn't get many minutes and things. And but yeah, his average points last year was 7 point something, I think, wasn't it? Like every time he played, he did something. So pretty keen on him at 4.5. Again, gets the extra Carabao game as well. Gone for Saka at the moment. I think it's is he 6 million price point. I just love Saka in this format, and I think you mentioned it, Ben, last week or Tony. I did the same thing as you. I took him out last year trying to play the extra fixtures, and he absolutely killed me. So won't be making that mistake again. I think he's you just keep him in, don't you? He's just insane at this game, and he's a good price point to kind of hold as well, like Palmer, Bruno, De Bruyne sort of price point. But I really like Saka.
If one of the other ones does go off, you can quite easily hop about, can't you, without changing your whole team?
This is it. And Gibbs White, the Forest vibe again. Just looks a really good player. He could be on penalties. Forest have excellent fixtures to start off with, but I'm not that keen on the 3.5s. Can't really get excited about many of them. If I do free up some cash from elsewhere, I think some other good options. Bruno, give me to 4.5. I'm just not sure if I want three attacking Newcastle players all at once in case they do flop. Because I've got Gordon. I'll obviously have Isak as well. But Bruno should call him that. Bruno Guimaraes is just a fantastic pick. I think I wouldn't put anyone off him at all. The only reason I haven't got him is I've got Gordon and Isak. But I may end up with him.
I'd put that down as one of my questions. Gordon versus Bruno, because that's one I've been looking at. I've been toying with the idea of going Bruno. You just prefer attacking returns, maybe?
I just think Gordon, just every time, especially at home last year, I took him out a few times in different games, and every time I took him out, he just scored and got like 2 assists. He's just so consistently attacking, and with the extra point now for the assists as well. I think the ones who get the attacking returns, we should probably target, but I wouldn't put anyone off Bruno. He's he's fabulous, and he gets goals in his own right as well, don't he? Assists. So, Kudus I had in my team yesterday. I took out, and it's just because I was listening to Planet FPL's podcast this morning about West Ham and how they may just be a bit more defensive than they have been. I wouldn't put anyone off Kudus. 5 million. He's pretty premium price, but I think he could be fantastic. Again, gets the extra fixture midweek. His base points are superb. He could even play a more central role this year. They've signed really good players around him. It's just his price point of 5 million. If you go for him, you have to make sacrifices elsewhere. Because I'm definitely I think I'm stuck on Gordon, Saka, and Eze. I could go to Kudus instead of Saka for the extra Carabao match potentially. I think they could score quite similarly, but then it just means that after the break, then I may have to just use all my transfers on bringing in kind of European players and start off on the back foot. So I've tried to have a balance of Carabao and champion, and European. Odegaard at 5 million. I was really surprised at how good his average points were. 5.8 points. I think I think he's decent. Foden, obviously, when he comes back 6.5, I think I think you can afford to kind of wait on him for a couple of weeks, but I think it's a good price. Maddison is one who's popped in and out of my team. I had him in my team again, but again, he doesn't play that extra match. But if you remember last year, he went through a spell where he was just, he went through a spell of being almost the most important player in the game at one point, just before he got injured, wasn't it? He was like, everyone's talking, got to get him in. He was scoring, it felt like he was scoring 15 points every game. With the bonus and the goals and everything else. So I think at 4 million he could be good.
I was just looking at the Carabao Cup points from last season on the Match Centre on the FF stuff, and he come on for 8 minutes against Fulham in the Carabao Cup second round and still picked up a bonus point.
Wow,
8
that's
minutes.
insane. Yeah, he's so good. I'm not, and this is a theme I think with lots of teams, with Chelsea, with Spurs, with maybe Liverpool, Brighton, West Ham. We're just not sure how they're going to set up and whether they're going to hit the ground running. So like, I haven't got Palmer. I had Palmer in his team this afternoon, and I've taken him out. They don't have the extra Carabao game. Maresca apparently doesn't play with like a number 10, so it could be that Palmer's pushed out wide a touch. I know he's going to be on penalties and things, and he'll still score lots of points. He was an absolute beast in this game last year, wasn't he? He just scored points from everywhere, so it is a bit of risk going without him. But the fixtures, away to City, I think it is, or sorry, home to City or whatever. You're not going to captain him in game week 1 or game week 2 because they only play once in game week 2. So I think you can go without him to start. But he'll probably be in my team pretty sharpish if he carries on. But like I say, I'm just not sure because I'm not sure how they're going to set up where the system will be. But you can't argue what he's done for Chelsea, what he did for England. Came on, he was fantastic wherever he played. So he looks like one of the most natural talents the league has seen for a long time. And then forwards. Then I've currently gone for Isak and Haaland are just locked in my team. I think Isak could end up potentially being the highest scoring players in the game. Well, not in Europe, but he can definitely be up there. Haaland for obvious reasons, especially after his hat trick last week. I just think it'd just be mad to go without, especially with the new attacking points and things. I've gone for Salah, but it's a bit of a scaredy cat pick on Salah at the moment. It's a bit more of a cover Salah in case, away to Ipswich, home to Brentford, he could really do damage. But again, I'm not convinced that, again, sort of under the new manager, are they really gonna play the same way? Is he really going to play in the same position? I know he scored a very typical goal in the last week. And Ipswich, if they play the same way they played last year, they're going to come on to Liverpool, which will just play right into Liverpool's hands. But are Liverpool going to go away to Ipswich and win 3-4-0 in their first match? I'm not sure. I had Edouard in there for Palace, so it looks like Mateta may miss the first few games of the season. Obviously, being at the Olympics.
He's got the final Friday, hasn't he? I think it is.
Yeah, so he's definitely going to, he hasn't had a holiday yet, so he's probably going to miss at least the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season. Palace obviously playing really well at the extra game midweek. I think he's probably the natural replacement for him. So for 2 million, if you went with him instead of Salah, you can do all sorts with the rest of your team. You can go for Pedro or Gvardiol or bring Palmer in early or kind of whatever it is. So he's just a real sort of outside punt. I do like Chris Wood as well, 2.5 million. Another Forest player, but I know Awoniyi may be back, may not be back. But I think Wood at 2.5.
He's had a lot of love on FPL, and Chris Wood this time around.
Well, I really like him as well. He's the kind of player from a lower league team, lower Premier League team who has the capability and experience of scoring 2 and 3 goals in a game. Scored a hat-trick last year, didn't he, and stuff. And he's just so experienced. He's a really good player. Got really good players around him as well. If Solanke goes to Spurs at 4 million, he's in my team, locked in. I think. And there's the others: Muniz, Calvert-Lewin. Can't really get excited about him, to be honest.
Nostalgia,
yeah. And the player. What's that? Sorry. Yeah, exactly that. I could end it with Havertz and Calvert-Lewin again, like four years later.
Fergi,
yes.
Don't you fancy a 12th man in game week 2? On one of them, Calvert-Lewin 12th man.
Oh, do you know what? I haven't even thought about the boosters at all, to be honest. But that might not be a bad shout.
At least if they do crap, you don't have to transfer them out. They're
Do you know what? That might be a good shout there, mate.
It's 9 if they start, isn't it?
Yeah, if they start the 2. We'll get some clues in the first week, I think, won't we? There's a lot of 50-50s at the moment, but it's not a bad shout there, mate. If some of the fixtures are banging, it could be worth a punt, because hat-trick nowadays with the extra goal, extra points for goals and stuff is worth a fortune, isn't it? So
I was looking at Palace's last second round game, and they were 2-0 down against Plymouth, and they brought on Eze after 55 minutes, and then Mateta scored a hat-trick and Edouard got one, but Mateta won't be there, so Edouard might be more nailed for that cup match.
Yeah, I think so. I think if I can, I'm kind of scared of Salah, but I need to get away. I need to get away from it. Like, I'm not going to captain him in game week 1. I think I'm going to go for Isaac home to Southampton. I'm definitely not going to captain in game week 2. So I may miss out on some points, but for what it does for the rest of my team, and Edouard, could he's risky. He's 2 million for a reason. But he's a good player, Edouard. He had patches, I think, in the first half of last year where he played well. He scored a few goals, didn't he? And then Mateta obviously found his place and did well. So, but with the players he got around him, Eze, Sarr, Kamada, is it?
Yeah.
They could do well. So, I think you sway me back to Edouard, Ben. I think.
The thing is with Salah, like Salah and Haaland, I'm pretty sure it was on your Green Arrow podcast, your most recent one. Wasn't it you talking about Salah and I've forgotten the guy's name now. FPL Dis.
Yeah, Luke Williams. Yeah,
he was saying there's like so many unknowns this season, but one of the things that we know is that Salah just every season without foul pretty much delivers, doesn't he?
He does, but then he wasn't in his FPL draft. After we spoke, he went for Haaland over Salah. He wasn't in his team. He does, but I don't know if it's narrative. You can spin it either way you want. You spin it as narratives, or spin it as just facts. But he's another year older. He's playing. I looked at his heat maps. He's playing quite far right. He is obviously coming inside, but he's not playing like a centre forward number 9, right? And it's a brand new manager, brand new system. Who's to say that Liverpool are just going to go and blitz everyone, right? And especially early in the season, there are surprises at times early in the season. Liverpool are not going to be used to playing against Ipswich, so they're not going to know much about them and things. So I'm not saying it's just going to turn them over, right? But it's not sure. It may take a bit of time for Liverpool to kind of click, to slot into place. Excuse the pun. So. I think you can maybe go without him. This is going to come back and bite me in the ass. I know it is. But
you're a believer in the early kickoff curse as well. That's the first game.
Oh, it's early kickoff. Yeah, that'll hurt if he bangs a hat-trick in and my season's over by 2:00 on the Saturday.
Before you've had your lunch.
Exactly that. But yeah, I'm quite tempted to go for Edouard. For what it does for the rest of the team, and then obviously with the transfers we get every week, you can kind of manipulate things around then, to get him in if you need him and whatever else. But we're also going to find out in that time who the number 9 is, right? Because if Darwin's up front, I know we laughed at Darwin a lot last year. We did average 6.8 points per game last year, 4.5 million. If he can go pound for pound with Salah and you can spend the money elsewhere, I think it's worth it personally. As long as he keeps his place up front and he gets a go, gets the odd goal. So, but yeah, still, a lot of time to go. Are we 10 days away? We'll get lots of news. May get news of an enabler somewhere, which frees up
one more friendly from
stuff.
Everyone as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
one last one.
And the Community Shield, I haven't looked how much Oscar Bob is, but he might be a decent punt for a week or two, maybe.
2 mil striker.
Oh, really? Strike it? No, that's not. Yeah, that's not good. Well, mind you, it's the same price as Oddison Edouard. I don't know why. Hot on Edouard.
Any questions, Ben?
Just Gibbs White. I've seen a lot of people with him in the drafts. Obviously, is it because of set pieces, possible penalties?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a really good play. Scored well. I haven't got the stats in front of me. I think he scored well Let's have a look if I can bring him up. We get
212.
212 points, five points average last year. Pretty decent. Good home fixtures. Got the extra game as well. Like I say, there wasn't really anyone at that price point I particularly liked, around the 3.5 or the 4. I think 4.5 upwards. Maybe Maddison could stretch, but then he doesn't have the extra game. So yeah, but I think if I go for Edouard ahead of Salah, I'll definitely be upgrading Gibbs White to a more expensive player, potentially even Palmer. Just get him in from the start rather than wait for him. Someone along those lines. But yeah, there's no one really in that price point I really like, if I'm being honest.
Have you been watching Spurs in pre-season?
I've watched a bit, not much. I've noticed that Kulusevski has been playing as the 9. He's got a couple of goals. But again, it depends if they sign a forward and things. You could go for him.
Yeah.
Again, I've got too much fixture volume in my mind. See, this is. It worked on the season I won it, but then it hasn't worked since. But I do like the extra games. I think there's a lot of opportunity for massive points in these extra games.
Hence why you've only got 3 European players at the minute.
Yeah, it's probably a bit too much. I'll try and get off to a good start. I think there'll be a lot of, well, I say a lot of rotation. A bit of rotation in Europe. I've got the forwards in play. Well, I've got Haaland in place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see, and Saka may get another one as well. But yeah, I'll gradually just move on over the weeks. Certainly, there's a lot of teams have got decent fixtures in their own right on that first, Champions League back as well. I'll see how it goes. I say it is like Palace home to Leicester, so you could, Eze and Munoz are decent fixtures. I probably may end up with 1 or 2 more European ones, I think. But we do have, 2, 4, 6. We got six transfers until that point. You can move along. So we'll just see. I'll probably just evolve towards it. I think with the keeper as well, I'm hoping with the keeper that the keepers drop in price, the premium ones. Like, if Sells or someone can get a clean sheet or 2, they might actually go up in price, like 2.2, 2.3. And I think it's Edison last year ended up like 3 million, and something stupid like that. So may get a couple of drops off the big keepers as well. So yeah.
If I had to ask for a choice out of some of the Spurs players to get your thoughts on these, so there's 2 price points that are similar. We have mentioned them, but if it was between sort of Porro and Maddison, because I think me and Ben were both looking at Maddison to start with because of last season.
Yeah.
But then obviously Porro's done really well in pre-season.
Yes.
And Maddison, although the stats and data's good from last year, everywhere you see comments from Spurs fans saying Maddison's been poor.
Yeah.
We were kind of like, do you just disregard the comments and go with the stats, or?
I don't think Spurs will keep clean sheets and attacking return. I know he's got attacking returns in him. But in FPL, because you get the bonus points on top for attacking returns, you normally get the 3 bonus and stuff as well. I think it's probably a bit more prevalent having him in that game. He'll have more of an impact on your team. Whereas if he concedes 2 against Leicester, and I fancy Everton to score against him as well, Spurs can't can't defend. Then even if he does get a goal or assist, you're still in single digits. Whereas Maddison has the potential to do more. So it's a tough one. It really is. It's a coin flip. It probably depends on your formation. Are you thinking of having Porro as is that your 3rd or your 4th defender?
Would be 3rd.
3rd, yeah.
Yeah, potentially would be 3rd, but
I think I think I'd probably prefer Porro to start with anyway, based on what we know at the moment.
Sort of form. And then
the
James,
goal he scored against Bayern, you see his positioning where he picked the ball up. He was basically playing like number 10. What's he doing there? Yeah, sorry.
And then we did James's team reveal.
Yeah.
And he busted out Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, 3 million.
Since seeing that, I really liked it. I really liked it. Playing on that right wing, I looked a bit more into it, and it done better last year than I recall.
Yeah,
So
he's a really nice player. Yeah,
he's a better shout than Kulusevski if they do stay in those positions.
I think he's more likely to start.
Yeah,
I think Kulusevski tailed off at the end of last year. He's been doing okay in pre-season, scoring goals, but is it just because they haven't got no alternative on that right-hand side? They're playing Johnson. Johnson played as a forward for times for Forest, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
So if they're playing Johnson's proper position on the right-hand side. So I think Johnson will start there. As I say, we don't know what the manager's got in his mind, right? But I think Johnson will get more minutes, and he looks a good pick. I can't argue with it. I say the only problem with all Spurs players, they don't start playing in Europe until Wednesday, the 25th of September, which is quite a way off. So you are missing out on quite a few extra games for different teams. But
yeah, especially those ones at 3 mil, though, just looked a little for the price. They looked.
No, I think he's I think he's a really good price. Really do. It's a good shout.
Actually, you're pretty hot on the Carabao. Then if we can predict it, we've got to wait for them draws, haven't we, as well?
Yeah, I like Newcastle and Palace, and if they have half decent fixtures, I hope they don't draw each other. If they have half decent fixtures, I think I'll be piling in. I think they're really good teams with really top players in, and I think they could, and they've got good fixtures either side. So try and get a bit of a fast start, and and then the odd ones around. But I may jump onto a Champions League team or two with a couple of players. If someone like Kwanzaa is, if Kanate gets injured for 4 weeks, Kwanzaa's in my team without a shadow of a doubt, for example. It's those 50-50s at the moment. But yeah, targeting the Carabao and then move around. But as I say, there's still 9-10 days to go. We're still in the kind of experimentation phase at the moment, I think, aren't we?
Ben, you said you were looking at some of the previous Carabao Cup results or lineups. Do you think are we hoping for like a moderately competitive draw? Because you don't want the draw to be too easy.
Yeah.
Because then they'll fully rotate. Was it looking like that from last year?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they need a decent draw to half decent, like half not an easy draw, so like you just said, because
like
then
they'll or top of championship maybe.
Yeah.
Like
when Fulham played Spurs, Fulham played a pretty strong team. Spurs rotated quite a lot. I think Fulham changed the keeper, but when they're playing like championship teams, they don't weaken the team that much. Yeah. But if they're playing League One or League Two, then they rotate a lot. So we don't want too much of an easy draw.
Yeah, they're playing on the 12th, aren't they? Which is Tuesday next week. So we should have the draw before the game starts.
By the 14th, I think we'll have the draw.
Yeah, which is the
2 days. 2 days before,
it's 2 days. But this is what I mean. It's just getting yourself in a position to be right. Am I going to do this or am I going to do this? Depending on how the draw comes out. As you say, if Palace draw, each other, if Palace draw Newcastle or West Ham or, Wolves or something, it's like, oh, do I really want to go that heavy? Whereas if they draw out, a lower championship side, you think, oh yeah, that's just cemented it for me.
Yeah. Another good thing as well, if they're not the main players in the team, but they are first team players, they're most likely going to start. But the star players might most likely won't start. So Eze didn't start in that cup match last year, but he still came on with 40 minutes to go and did something. So I
think it depends on the individual player as well. If they're trying to build up fitness and things as well. But I always think it's better to have a lottery ticket. There's nothing worse than thinking, oh, Eze's not going to start. I'm not going, and then he starts, and then you're like, oh my god, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
I'd rather have my I'd rather have a ticket than not, and then they start definitely.
So you're almost certain then probably as well that you'll end up sticking the armband as well on someone, because you've got Haaland with Ipswich at home, and then you've got the double game week law for the Carabao that same game week too. I think.
I think so. I quite fancy maybe Eze. Just want to look who else it could be that week. Maybe Eze, maybe Isak. Or may just go with Haaland. If Haaland bangs in a couple of goals against Chelsea, it's going to be hard to turn it on, as you say, because you don't know whether they're going to play in the Carabao. Depends on the draw and stuff.
It could just be 1-1, couldn't it?
This is it. So, but I think I'm going Isak in game week 1 regardless, which is why I'm not so concerned about not having Salah. And then and Liverpool away to United then, just for the international break, which again is not a captaincy game. City are home, away to West Ham. Arsenal are home to Brighton. Newcastle home to Spurs. You can go Isak again in that game. Say if Spurs are still frail at the back and lots of different options. So,
looks good. Look forward to seeing Edouard. Seeing how you get on with Edouard back in your team.
We'll see. That's definitely a look forward to. How are you? There's no. Well, I might end up with that. You're like that. There's no way you're going Edouard. You're going. Yeah.
I do like it, but it's a shame like you ain't got the extra position to put him in. I mean, those 3 strikers are scary not to have, I think, for the first few game weeks.
Yeah, I agree. It's just what you can do with the rest. It does mean you can have Palmer, Gvardiol, and Porro. If you go Salah to Edouard, you can pump your money around the team. But I want to make sure my team is flexible. I need to give a bit more thought to my game week 1 to game week 2 to game week 3 plans of how I want to get to, European players and stuff, and which ones I'm going to target and things. For just as I say, this is early, but these are the players I like. Early doors. I really do think they can get the team off to a fast start.
Good stuff.
Cool. Well, we'll have to have you on at some point. I know you're really, really busy at the Fantasy Football Hub, but we'll get you on at some point, won't we? See how you're getting on.
Love to come on and crow how Odsonne Edouard is now valued at 4.5 million, and he's banged in 3 hat-tricks in his first 8 games. And Mateta's out of the team. They sold Mateta because you can't get back in the team. And
on the bench.
We'll see. Probably not.
Cheers for coming on. Obviously, where can the guys, if any of our sort of dream team players watch a bit of FPL as well, where can they find your pod?
Do the Green Arrow FPL podcast every Thursday. So it's on the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Do my team reveals as well every single week for FPL, Dream Team, and the Telegraph. Obviously not doing Sky this year. Incredibly disappointing. The Sky is gone, but I do my team reveals every week, pre-deadline. Just go to the Hub. I think you guys have got a link, for anyone who wants to join the Hub as well. If anyone wants to join, and thanks for having me on, guys. Really, really enjoyed as usual, and best luck.
Cheers.
Best luck for the season.
And you, mate.
I'll see you in the cash leagues.
Yeah.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.